So now I want to take you back to the SNAP office. So you've come to this office, you figured out that you qualify for SNAP, and your caseworker mentions excuse me, that you might also qualify for WIC because you have a 3-year-old child. And so you decide that it's going to be worth your time to check out the WIC program to provide for your child. And so you leave the DHR office and you go to the WIC office. These offices aren't necessarily easy to get to. If you remember, we talked a lot about transportation costs in the last section. So you're a single mom, you have kids, and you're having to go from one office to the next office and sit and wait in line. And all of this is time where you could be working and earning income. You know, and you might have a child with you, you might have 3 children with you. So going to these offices and filling out these forms isn't necessarily a fast process. For any of you who have had to go to the DMV and work through getting your driver's license renewed or getting your license, it is a similar situation at all of these offices. So just trying to paint a picture here of this isn't an easy process, and these offices aren't necessarily close together. So here you are, you're in the WIC office, and you meet with a counselor to go over whether or not you qualify for WIC. WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children, and if you remember when we introed this course, WIC helps women who are either pregnant, who are breastfeeding, or young children, because the goal, if you remember from Professor Coote's lecture where he showed you the photographs of the malnourished child versus the nourished child, and you saw the brain scans, not only is the size of the brain different, but also the neuron connections are different. And so our government set up the WIC program to really combat meeting the nutritional needs of the most vulnerable in our population. So I know, again, this is a very dense slide, but just briefly I want to walk you through some of the WIC qualifications. So you must meet income eligibility requirements, and you also must have a nutritional risk. This is just a quick list of some of the things that WIC provides, things like cow's milk, 100% juice products, cereals, peanut butter, cheese, eggs, beans, etc. But these are all foods that the government has identified as being healthy for women who are either pregnant or nursing and young children. So just a quick slide about what are the types of benefits of that program. Additional services that are available through WIC is that you might hear about Help Feeding Your Family is a child nutrition program at your oldest child's school. So now I want to walk you through what is the school feeding programs here in the United States. Child nutrition programs is essentially the National School Lunch Program. It's a federally assisted meal program, and when I talk to you guys about the high schools and the middle schools of people on free or reduced lunch, this is the program that allows for that. It operates in more than 100,000 public and nonprofit private schools, and it provides nutritionally balanced, low-cost, or free lunches to families that qualify for it. Just to give you an idea, about 30.5 million children each school day qualify for lunch under this program. This also includes a snack reimbursement for after-school care. So if your child, so that you can work, has to go from school to a daycare or an after-school program, this program also provides some assistance to pay for the child to have a snack at that program as well. So who qualifies for this? People who are at 130% of the poverty line, so that 2009 poverty guidelines I showed you. Someone who would qualify for 100, you would multiply that by 130% to get who would qualify for a free meal. Those between 130% and 185% of the poverty guidelines qualify for a reduced meal price, which is no more than 40 cents. And those over 185% of poverty will pay full price for lunch. For those of you not far removed from high school, you remember a typical meal in high school is between $2 to $5 to $6. So these are families where the child with you get that meal for free, or would qualify for a reduced price on that $2 to $5 lunch. The school that provides the lunch gets reimbursed $2.57 per lunch that they provide, or 217 cents for the reduced price lunch. So the schools, through this program, don't bear the burden of feeding these children. It's the federal government that supports the feeding. This is the application for this program. Again, some people who have very limited education or who struggle with illiteracy, an application like this can be quite overwhelming. So there are counselors that help walk them through the program, and there are services available to people that will help them navigate these social safety net systems. So what about breakfast? We've talked a lot about school feeding in the developing world and how a lot of the children will be provided those high-calorie biscuits at the beginning of the day at their desk, and then also provided a lunch. Here in the United States, we do something very similar because we recognize that a child who comes to school hungry, if they already qualify for free or reduced lunch, the chances of them coming to school hungry are quite high. And so the government provides also a breakfast before school. A lot of these services are paid for in the federal government through something called the Farm Bill. It's actually the Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008. This is something that Congress renews every 4 years, so it will be up for renewal in 2012. But I wanted to point out that the Farm Bill is quite a complex thing. If you remember in your readings from Enough, the author talks a lot about American farm subsidy policies. These are governed in the Farm Bill. But I want you to begin as a student wrapping your brain around how complex hunger and food policies and issues are, because the same bill that the author of Enough has issue with is the one that helps feed 30.5 million school children every single day here in the United States. So when a lobbyist is lobbying for or against certain portions of a bill, especially on a federal level, you need to recognize that these bills cover a wide variety of topics and also affect a wide variety of people. So here in the United States, it's important to note that while we're working on feeding the hungry here in our own lands and here in the United States, we also, as a nation, work with organizations like the United Nations and the World Food Program to feed the hungry poor on an international platform. And so there's a wide variety of bills and acts and agreements that affect our U.S. policy in these issues. But I just wanted to point out to you that the Farm Bill is renewed every 4 years, and it is what pays for SNAP, WIC, and the school lunch feeding program.